Have you ever made a decision that felt so right? You bet everything on it? And then, when it all collapsed, you were left with nothing but the echo of your own voice saying, "I believed in it, I believed in me." That's where I was. On the cold floor of my empty studio, surrounded by expensive lights and dreams that had lost their glow. I didn't lose my money. I lost her trust. I lost my daughter's smile. The hardest part of failure isn't falling. It's waking up in the morning and realizing the pain isn't over. It has just become quieter. And in that silence, you start to wonder, was I ever truly awake when I made that choice? Or was I just chasing peace in the shape of another illusion? James Carter wasn't reckless. He had built a solid career 15 years as a creative director in Manhattan, known for award-winning campaigns and a reputation for calm leadership. But beneath the polished surface, James was unraveling. He felt like a well-dressed ghost in boardrooms. The applause sounded hollow. Each new pitch, each client win, only deepened his sense of disconnect. So one night, he told Elise, his wife of 12 years, "I need to do this. I need to leave and make something that matters, not just to brands, to me." She didn't stop him. She even helped him set up a tiny studio in the garage. And for a while, it felt like rebirth. His YouTube channel, Zen Rebirth, grew slowly but beautifully. He spoke of mindfulness, purpose, healing. He shared his morning rituals, interviewed monks, taught breathwork. But 4 months in, the views stalled. Ad revenue? Less than a coffee per day. He spent savings on gear, editing software, online ads. Then came the day his daughter, Lily, tugged his shirt and said, "Daddy, are we still going on that trip you promised after you became famous?" He froze, not because she asked, but because he didn't even remember the promise. Later that night, Elise looked at him not with anger, but fatigue. "I miss you, James. Not the Zen James, not the YouTuber. Just the man who once danced with me in the kitchen at midnight." He wanted to hold her, but all he could feel was the weight of his own voice echoing in his mind. "This is the path. You're doing it for something bigger." But was he? Or was he just hiding his fear of meaninglessness behind spiritual aesthetics? Was this a quest for truth? Or a desperate attempt to feel significant again? It was supposed to be a simple retreat video. James had booked a cabin near the Blue Ridge Mountains. He brought 2 cameras, a drone, a minimal set. His plan: film a 3-day digital silence meditation retreat for his channel. No phone, no internet, just journaling, meditating, filming. But by the second evening, a storm rolled in. Rain poured, power flickered. His drone crashed into a pine tree. Worse, the footage he'd recorded felt empty. Forced, pretty but hollow. Frustrated, he left the cabin and started walking the muddy trail behind it. No plan, no script, just his soaked boots and a mind full of noise. After an hour, he saw smoke curling above the treetops. A small wooden shack stood alone near the cliff edge. He approached and an old woman opened the door before he could knock. She was tiny, with silver hair tied back, eyes sharp like wet stones. "You're early," she said. James blinked. "Excuse me?" "Most people come here after they've broken something," she added, stepping aside. You've just realized it's broken inside." He hesitated, then stepped in. The cabin was sparse. Books, a kettle, no internet, obviously. She offered tea. He accepted. She didn't ask his name, didn't ask what he did. Just sat across from him, letting silence stretch until he cracked. I thought I was doing something meaningful, he said. I left my job. I tried to help people slow down, but I don't even know if I believe in what I'm saying anymore. The woman smiled, not with pity, but understanding. Let me tell you a story. She looked into the fire, as if the story were flickering there. There was a mother, long ago, whose only child died in her arms. She refused to bury him. Instead, she carried his body house to house, begging for medicine. One monk told her, "Bring me a mustard seed, but it must come from a house that has never known death." She went to every home. Every door told her a story of grandmothers, uncles, lost children, lovers lost to war. She came back, not with mustard seeds, but with eyes that had seen suffering. That's when she could finally lay the child down. James stared. He knew the parable Kis Gotam, but hearing it here, from her voice, in this cabinet, pierced deeper. "So she let go," he said quietly. "No," the woman said. "She saw. That's different. Letting go is easy when you don't look, but she saw what death really was. And from that seeing, something else grew." James looked down at his tea, untouched. "What if I've built this whole thing me channel, my path, just to avoid seeing myself clearly?" he asked. The woman nodded slowly. "Then perhaps the storm crashing your drone was your mustard seed. And maybe, just maybe, this silence you're in, it's not failure. It's the first time you're really listening." She leaned back. "Your audience doesn't need your answers, James. They need to see you wrestle with the questions honestly." He left the cabin just before nightfall. The storm had cleared. The air was cold, but clear. For the first time in months, James didn't feel like filming. He just walked back, one slow, muddy step at a time. Not as a YouTuber, not as a teacher, just as a man beginning again. James didn't sleep much that night. He sat on the wooden steps of the cabin, watching the mist roll across the valley, his tea growing cold in his hands. For the first time, he wasn't scripting his thoughts for a video. He was just being. And in that stillness, something began to shift. He had spent months trying to teach peace, but never once paused to ask if he had truly found it. He realized he had simply traded one identity for another. The creative director for the mindfulness mentor. One costume for another. Both were chasing approval, just from different crowds. His spiritual journey was still a performance, except now the stage was quieter, and the applause came in views and likes. The old woman's words echoed, "Seeing is different than letting go." Maybe he didn't need to let go of his past. Maybe he needed to see it clearly, honestly, without flinching. To see the fear behind his ambition, to see the sadness behind the silence, to see that even his deepest longing to help others was, in part, a longing to feel needed. And that's okay, because from that honest seeing, a different kind of peace begins to grow. Not the curated kind he filmed, but the kind that doesn't need to be explained, just lived. The Buddha didn't just teach about peace. He taught about seeing things as they truly are, not as we wish them to be. In the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha said, "Contemplate the body in the body, not to reject it, not to change it, but to see it clearly as it is." James had spent so long trying to become someone, a good man, a mindful guide, a peaceful soul, that he forgot the first task of awakening is not becoming, but seeing. What causes suffering is not failure. It's attachment to the idea of what success should look like. It's grasping at the mask, even when the face beneath is crying. In Buddhist psychology, this is called up D, knack-clinging, clinging to views, to identities, to spiritual personas. Even the self-image of being spiritually awakened can become a prison if it's built on the fear of being just human. But the Dharma is patient. It doesn't demand perfection. It only asks, can you sit even with the parts of you that feel lost? True mindfulness is not performance. It's intimacy with what's real, no matter how raw or unfinished. And sometimes, peace doesn't look like lotus flowers or closed eyes. Sometimes, peace is a man in a muddy jacket, walking back from a cabin, finally seeing that he doesn't need to prove anything anymore. Let's try something simple. Not perfect, not profound, just honest. Find a quiet moment tonight, tomorrow morning, sometime soon. Sit, not to meditate, not to fix anything. Just sit. Let the silence settle like dust. Don't push your thoughts away. Let them come, let them pass. Then, ask yourself, what part of me have I been performing? What version of me am I trying to convince others or myself is real? Breathe. You don't need to answer out loud. You don't need to solve it. Just notice. Notice the moments when you tighten, when you smile too quickly, when you explain instead of simply feel. Those moments are not failures. They are invitations to see more clearly, to be more gently, to return. And if, in that stillness, you feel a sadness rise, welcome it. It might be the oldest part of you, finally being heard. And sometimes, that's all the healing we need. Remember what I said at the beginning? That I made a decision I believed in and lost more than I imagined? Here's the part I didn't see back then. I didn't lose because I chose wrongly. I lost because I clung to the idea that I had to be right to be worthy, that I needed to prove my path for it to mean something. But maybe the meaning was never in the path. Maybe it's in the walking, muddy boots and all. Maybe healing begins the moment we stop performing pain and start witnessing it. And if you're here, still listening, still breathing, maybe that's all you need for today. Not to fix, not to escape, just to see yourself without rushing to improve, to say, this is where I am. And it's okay if I'm not okay. Yet, that is a form of awakening too. So where does that leave us? Not with a grand lesson, not with a formula for healing, just a pause, a breath, a reminder that sometimes you don't have to be better to be whole. You just have to be honest, present, willing to sit with what's true, even when it's messy. If this story touched something in you, a memory, a regret, a question, I'd love to hear it. Drop a comment. Write one sentence about where you are right now, not where you think you should be, just where you are. And if you're walking through a season of self-doubt, know this. You're not alone. We don't need to be perfect to walk together. We just need to show up. And next time, I'll share the story of a moment that looked like success, but nearly broke me from the inside out. Until then, breathe gently. You're doing better than you think.